Welcome to the latest of this fall's series of online lectures from Longfellow House, Washington's headquarters. I'm John Bell from the Friends of Longfellow House, Washington's headquarters, the nonprofit organization that supports activity at the house. Tonight, the artist Ifé Franklin will share her book, The Slave Narrative of Willie Mae. To consider the connections between that story and the historic mansion we support, we have to look back on when that house was built in 1759. This map shows that part of Cambridge in the 1770s when the road to Watertown led west through big wealthy estates with farms, orchards, and pastures. The biggest of those estates, to judge by real estate taxes, belonged to Colonel John Vassall, who built what we now call Longfellow House. He was raising his family there, and most of his neighbors along the road to Watertown were also members of his extended family. But to understand the economic basis of the Vassall estate, we have to add this map. This is a map of Jamaica in the 18th century. At that time, Jamaica was a British colony largely covered with plantations producing sugar cane for molasses, sugar, and rum. Almost all the people doing that production were enslaved people from Africa or of African descent. They lived and died in brutal conditions. John Vassall inherited a very large slave labor plantations in the Hanover Parish on the west side of the island. The money that he gained from slaves producing sugar on Jamaica allowed him to build and enjoy his large estate in Cambridge. So we shouldn't forget that the oldest part of the historic house we visit today is a product of chattel slavery. In America, we all know the image of the grand southern plantation with a mansion tended by enslaved servants and a larger enslaved labor force out in the fields producing the crops to pay for that mansion. The Vassall estate was more like that than appears at first. The Vassall family also had enslaved servants in and around their house, but they had many more people enslaved and working to pay for their home. It's just that those people were working in fields thousands of miles away. With that connection in mind, we'll now hear about Ifé Franklin and her ancestors' experience in America. During tonight's presentation, please keep your microphones on mute so that extraneous noise doesn't interfere with the talk. There will be opportunities for audience participation during this presentation. If you want to participate, or if you have questions for Ms. Franklin to answer at the end of her presentation, please type your message into the chat function of Zoom addressed to everyone. Ranger Anna will invite you to take yourself off mute to ask your question, or you can ask her to read the question for you, and we will work through as many questions as our time allows. This session is being recorded, so if you don't want your face to appear in the video, please turn off your camera. Now I'm pleased to turn the screen over to Anna Christie, Senior Ranger at Longfellow House, Washington's headquarters, who will introduce tonight's speaker.
Thanks, John, for that context and for some instructions for tonight, because we're doing things a little bit different than our lectures in the past. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce Ifé Franklin tonight. I've really enjoyed getting to know her through the process of this event, and I think we have a very nice program for you tonight. Ifé was born in Washington, D.C. and has worked as a professional artist and activist for 30 years. Her mediums range from sculpture to photography to fiber arts. She's a graduate of the Museum of Fine Arts Boston and specializes in indigo dyed textiles. Ifé's Indigo Project, which you can find if you Google it, sought to honor the ancestral spirits of African Americans who were enslaved throughout America. She covered a replica slave cabin and handmade adire fabrics. That's what that indigo fabric is called. And it's a symbolic nod to the goods produced by enslaved Africans, cotton and indigo. The exhibit highlights and honors enslaved labor that built the wealth of this nation and has been exhibited at the Harbor Gallery at UMass Boston, the Art Grove in Franklin Park, and even at the North Charleston Arts Fest. She has taught workshops at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, at Boston College, and at the Royal House and Slave Quarters in Medford, Massachusetts. She believes that her art can convey her passion for freedom, peace, and justice. That's just one of her projects, though. Tonight, Ifé will share her 2018 book, The Slave Narrative of Willie Mae, and she encourages our audience participation, as John mentioned. There will be 4 opportunities for members of the audience to come off of mute and read aloud. If you are interested, please just let us know in the chat and we'll call on you in the order of who volunteered. When we were planning this event, Ifé assured me that I shouldn't worry about stumbling through some of the text because it's written in dialect. She reminded me that the people who were enslaved in this country would have stumbled to learn English, so we can honor them by having bravery ourselves. This book is written in the voice of Ifé's great-great-grandmother, Willie Mae McCain, who was born in Virginia on the threshold of emancipation. This narrative brings to life Willie Mae's journey from enslavement to freedom. As a site of enslavement, Longfellow House, Washington's headquarters National Historic Site, acknowledges that the history of slavery is not just African-American history, it's not niche, it is American history, and that our site has a role to play in its stewardship. So please join me in welcoming Ifé Franklin.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I'm so very happy to be here, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see how many participants are here. This is a great opportunity, and I'm very, very excited. This will be the very first time that there's been audience participation. That's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, because I really believe that in order for people to really understand and have a better heart-opening experience with this history that is very difficult, is to be able to feel what, to be able to try and feel, because there's no way we can ever know what their life was truly like. But when you read a narrative, you get more, you get closer to it. You get closer to it. And that's how we change. That's how we grow, is once we get closer to an experience, then we can be more expansive and more loving. So I'm very excited.
Are you ready for me to share the PowerPoint?
Sure, we can just go right into it.
Okay.
That's great. I would like to mention to our audience that the book is written in or stanzas. So you'll see a hashtag and you'll see a number. So when you read it, you say number 1, and then you read the narrative, and then you read what it says underneath it, which will say Willie Mae, Emancipation 1837, or something like that. So shall we get started? First, I want to say that I'm nervous. I'm always nervous. So I just want to take a second to center myself and to just open the door and the way for the ancestors to come and bless this time and bless this space. And, bless everyone who's here and wants to participate. You're already participating if you're here, so I thank you, Ashe. Ashe is a Yoruba word that is like the equivalent of Amen. So without any further ado, the slave narrative of Willie Mae. Number 1, I sick of master's hands all over me. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1837. Number 2, my mammy was a queen in Africa. They say she walk with she head high. Master and overseer don't like that. They try and break she don't break. She teach my mammy African words and songs. My mammy teach me. Eyes walk with my head high. Eyes don't break. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1837. This is an opportunity for someone to jump in here. Any volunteers?
Because I am sharing my screen right now, Ranger Megan, do you see anyone in the chat who has volunteered?
No volunteers just yet.
Okay, so I will continue. Number 3.
We got a volunteer.
Oh, yay! Yes.
Myra Brown.
Mira. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay.
In my heart, I ain't no slave. Oh, number 3. In my heart, I ain't no slave. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1838.
Thank you, Mira. Number 4. Massa and overseer takes girls and womenfolk to their bed. They takes boys and menfolk too. We don't talk about that. Slavery is a piece of shit. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1838, number 5. Working in the big house, that ain't no dream. The missus always a watching, putting that evil eye on ya. Always ringing that little bell, yelling, Willie Mae, do this. Willie Mae, do that. Eyes wanna break, she hands. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1838. Number 6. Old Masolinics say, niggas be free over my dead body. So eyes go out in the woods to get my conjure roots so eyes can help he be dead. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1839. Number 7. We's do all the work. We's get beat. We's get raped. We get sold away from the family. We's was took from our home Africa. Why the white men hate us, I'll never know. They don't want us to have nothing. Just want us to wipe their ass and make them rich. I feel so alone. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1839.
It looks like Pam was willing to volunteer.
Thank you, Pam.
Okay. This whole thing. Okay.
Yes, take your time. Like breathe through it. Take your time.
Okay. Old Home in New Orleans, number 8. My mammy say my papa was a big man with beautiful skin the color of black wood. She say he a proud man with a temper to match. One day, the overseer tries to whip papa, say he ain't working hard enough. He cracked the whip on my papa, take the hoe he use and bring it down on the overseer. He'd kill, he dead, the sells mum papa. I sad, but this is over the but proud because I see freedom in my papa. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1839.
Thank you.
Who took the pictures?
I'm sorry. Can you hold your questions until the end?
Oh, sorry. Okay.
That's okay. I'm so glad you're so enthusiastic. I'm glad you want to know. I'm very happy. Number 9. Massa try and make me lay with him. Eyes fight back. He slapped me so hard he split my lip, blood every place. I was lucky though. He put me in the fields and I whooped me till I was dead. This better for me, cause eyes can look up in the sky and not look up and see Massa's face on top of mine. Running be better than this. I praise to the old souls for help. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1839, number 10. Massa sent he children to the school up north. Young Miss Ann and me, we's play when we was knee-high to the grass. She come back and call me to she room. She say she heard a black man named Frederick Douglass talk. She say he talk real fine. She say he once was a slave. She say he can read and write. My heart beats fast. Young Miss Ann say, in a low voice, she gonna teach me to read and write. That eyes, I can't tell nobody. Not my mammy, not nobody. Young Miss Ann say she part of the train that ain't got no track that run under the ground. Eyes look right in young Miss Ann's eyes to see if eyes can trust she. It feel right. Eyes gonna learn the power that be in the book. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1839. Number 11. Massa build new house for the yellow gals. He keep them for himself, his sons, and their friends. After big parties, they all go down to the yellow quarter and have their fill. The yellow gals think they better than the rest of us. All except Yellow Clara. She my friend. Yellow Clara went and cut off all her good hair, clean off. So Massa thinks she ugly. Massa send Yellow Clara to the fields till she good hair grow back. The yellow gals thinks they better than the rest of us. They say they have good hair and we's have nappy shit on our head. They thinks they is not a slave to Massa. They is stupid. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1839. Number 12. Massa have a big party for the new year. All the plantation folk come. They all dress up fine. They eats and drinks they fill. Everybody pass out. All but young Miss Ann. She give us in working in the big house that night the good eye. And we all stuff us pockets and mouth with biscuit, ham, and sweet cake before they tell Black Betty to take the leftovers and make it into that nasty juba. Later, Black Betty take all the food, put it all, meat, sweets, bread, vegetables, put it in a pot, mix it up, put it in the trough where the animals eat. They put it in there for us to eat, just like the pigs. Black Betty sang a song when she mixed the juba. Juba this, juba that, juba kill the yellow cat. Get over double trouble, juba. You shift the meal, you give me husk. You cooks the bread and give me crust. You fry your meat, you give me the skin. And that's where mama's trouble began. Juba up, juba down, juba all around the town. Juba for Ma, juba for Pa, juba for your brother-in-law. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1840.
All right, I believe Liza volunteered.
Okay, thank you, Liza.
Thank you, Ifé. Willie Mae standing in front of the tall ship, a symbol of slave ships. Number 13. While everybody still pass out, young Miss Ann called me to she room. She looked the do. Eyes wipe the biscuit crumb from my mouth. She take out a book. She show me some letters. She show me A, B, C. She take she finger and she show me, she say, take your finger and trace the letters. My hand just a shaking. Eyes point my finger. Eyes trace the letters. Young Miss Ann say in a low voice, repeat after me. A, B, C. I looks at the letters and I says in my best low voice, A, B, C. Young Miss Ann, she smiled big at me. She said, good, real good, Willie Mae. You are on your way to freedom. My eyes get full of tears. This be the best New Year. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1840.
Thank you, Liza. Number 14. Young Miss Ann, take me to town with she. She sit up high or the wagon. I sit in the back. I was born on the Lennox place. Been there all my life. never been to town. The wagon move, my heart beats fast. I look up at the moving trees and trace the letters I've learned from young Miss Ann in my head. A, B, C. When we gets to town, I see so many folks. I hear so much noise. My eyes get big because I see some niggers dress up fine like the white folks. I thinks, is they free? I look all around. I sees letters on everything. I sees A, B, C all over the place. I act like I don't know what I was looking at. We walk to the center of the town. I hear folks are shouting. I hear folks are screaming and crying. Young Miss Ann say, don't look over there, Willie Mae. But I look. I sees a man standing on a block with a woman holding a babe. She's screaming and crying. He say, what will you give me for this fine nigger wench and her baby? My heart about to stop. I freeze. My feet can't move. Tears come down my face. Young Miss Ann, she just a calling me. Eyes don't hear she. In my mind, all I can do is think A, B, C. As I sees that man on the block. Young Miss Ann, she covered my eyes with she glove hand that smelled like flowers and walk us back to the wagon. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1840.
All right, Roberta, you volunteered.
Yes.
Thank
Country
you.
woman, Willie Mae at gravesite of Jane. Young Miss Ann, she teach me all the ABC. She say, Willie Mae, you learn so quickly. You are one smart young lady. Next, you will learn to spell your name. My heart fill up. Nobody never say I's smart, and nobody ever say I's a lady. This what freedom feel like? It feel real nice. I want some more. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1840.
Thank you for Loyal Day. Thank you so much. Number 16. The Lennox place so big, it have a field of wildflowers in a lake. On Sunday, we have some time just for us to work our patch, to lax a bit. I loves to walk in the wildflowers. They smells like rain. They soft on my finger. I love the red earth. That red clay cool on my feet. I sit by the water. I take a stick. I write my name in the red clay. Willie Mae. It's so beauty. My name, Willie Mae. I cover it up quick. My body shake. The red clay hug my toes. The flowers smell like rain. My eyes roll back. The old souls got me. They say, soon come. My eyes come back. I gets up. I walks to the water. I goes in. It cool. It nice. The old souls tell me, soon come. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1840, number 17. My mammy, she named Virginia. She be one of the washerwomen on the Lennox place. She hands strong and hard, but she got a soft touch for me. One night, when my mammy and me was in the cabin, there was a knock on the door. We know it'd be a nigger cause the white folks never knock. In come old Aunt Sarah and young Miss Ann. My eyes wants to get big, but I don't let them. Old Aunt Sarah, she bolt the door. Young Miss Ann have a big basket. She say, I brought you all some leftover food from the grand house. She smiled big. She sits the basket on the table. I watch the eyes of the three omens, cause now they talking to each other with their eyes. Young Miss Ann, she take out the food, and then she take out some paper, some pencils, and the book that we be study, the Webster's old blueback speller. My heart beat fast. Nobody's supposed to know about my learning. My mammy see my face. She smiled soft at me. She say in a low voice, young Miss Ann, she tell me and old Aunt Sarah about your learning, and we's wants to help you to freedom. Young Miss Ann take from the basket some boy pants, shirt, jacket, hat, and boots. She say low, it'll be easier for you to travel the Underground Railroad dressed like a young man. Young Miss Ann say, Willie Mae, you know enough to be able to write yourself a pass or a note when you need to. She take out a map and show me the safe houses and which trails to take. My body shake. Old Aunt Sarah take out she conjure stick. She make a big circle of the dirt flow. She say we all has to stand in it, even young Miss Ann. We stands in the circle and holds hands. Old Aunt Sarah started praying to her African god Olodumare. She called for Shango. She called for Elegba, Ogun, Oya. She put in my hand a charm made of goat skin tied up with sweet grass. Inside, she put a lock of my mammy's hair and some powders. My mammy say, if in the patty rollers and the dogs coming for you, you takes this powder in your mouth. You take it all, you hear me? You be dead before they find you, because I don't want you coming back here to be no slave. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1840. Number 18. I's gonna run. Pray for me. Number 19. Young Miss Ann, she leave to go back up north. She say in a low voice, I will be expecting you, Willie Mae. God is on your side. I knows I has the power from the old souls to make it. I's free myself, then I's come back for my mammy and old Aunt Sarah. Willie Mae, Lennox Plantation, 1840. And this is where we said we would stop and have Q&A. Is that good?
I'm sure the first question that might be unsaid in this group is, does she make it?
Well, that's I say to people, then you have to get the book to find out. Because
Megan, on that cue, do you mind putting the website in the chat?
Yes, Megan. Yes, thank you.
And if you are interested in getting a copy of this book, you can email Ifé directly. So her email address is also in the chat for you to use. All right, so for the rest of the time that we have together, we're gonna do a Q&A. So if you have a question for Ifé, you can put it in the chat and we can call on you as we'll go in the order that they arrive. If you're comfortable asking directly, you can come off a mute when we call on you and ask. If not, just put a note in your comment in the chat and we'll read it out loud for you.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who's shown up and everyone who participated. You know, this is just another part of the dream, is to hear other people read the story, and it has a whole different feeling. A couple of times I had to stop myself from getting all teary.
Yeah, it was definitely powerful hearing it in everyone's voices. Thanks, John. I forgot there was a question in the middle of the presentation, I believe from Pam. Pam, did you want to ask your question? I think you're on mute, Pam.
Yeah, I was interested in the older pictures. Who took the older pictures?
Which pictures? The ones that are from the times of enslavement? Those pictures? Yes. Those are pictures that I got off the internet. They didn't have the photographer's name.
Oh, okay.
Not know, but I could research. I can find that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
And thank you for reading, Pam.
Oh, you're welcome.
All All right, it looks like we have another question from Lynn. Lynn, are you comfortable coming off mute and asking your question?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Go for it.
Hi.
Hi. I'm speaking from Perth in Western Australia, so this is very exciting to
Oh
hear
my
you speak.
goodness. Wow.
I know. We came to a talk at the house in probably about December or January last year when you were not you, but the speaker was talking about the house and the history of slavery in the house, in the vassal house. So a big thank you for your presentation. It's just terrific. Can you tell us more about your own family's history? Is that an okay thing to do? And if it's not,
No, it's a total okay thing to do. I can give you a limited answer because I haven't done my DNA. I haven't done my family tree. I only know, okay, what I know is as far back as my great-grandmother, Willie Mae, who was my actual great-grandmother, and my grandmother's mother, who is Willie Mae, and then my grandfather's mother. And that's as far as I know. I don't know what happened to their husbands. I don't know. So that's as far, and I could find out, but I'm gonna just be really honest. I think of all the work that I'm doing on this subject matter, that it would maybe really break my heart even more to see my ancestors listed as property, or to search for them and not be able to find them. Because they weren't necessarily in the census records and things like that. So I asked my mom, and my mom, who just turned 84, is telling me, different stories. Like, I now know that Willie Mae's husband's name was Felix. And then I asked my mom, what happened to Felix? Like, what happened to him? And I don't think my mom didn't meet, she didn't meet him. My mom grew up during the Great Depression, or like almost at the end of the Great Depression. But my mom told me about 5 years ago that she grew up in a cabin that had a dirt floor. I was like, what? And she told me exactly, she described it. And then what was so interesting, there's nothing serendipitous, right? My mom was describing the cabin, and I said, could you tell me? And she said she was like 5 years old, but she described it. She said it was these big logs and, whatever they used to seal it. The floor was red dirt. And she said, I remember eating a biscuit that had butter on it. And I looked over and I saw the window, and there was and my mother said this, there was indigo fabric. The color was indigo and it was blowing. And I just remember that. And I was like, I build cabins. I dye indigo fabric. Like, it's just the work of the ancestors. So that's my answer. I don't know. I should know more. And maybe, this is a catalyst to help me do that, because I need to walk through that fear. They're calling me, and they're calling me through you because you're asking me that question. So they want me to do that work. So thank you for asking.
Thank you. Thank you indeed.
You have another question in the chat from Marin. Marin, would you like to ask your question?
Thank you. And thank you, Ifé. I'm curious, having read a number of slave narratives, and I'm a poet myself, what elements of the history, herstory really, of Willie Mae do you actually know? Like, was there a Lennox plantation?
Oh, okay.
Do you have the dates approximately accurate? I'm just curious about that kind of skeleton, if you will.
I can't wait to answer this question, because this book was a total gift from the Egun, which is the Yoruba word for the ancestors. This book was channeled to me. every last word of it. I've written some poems, I've done some performance, but this book was a gift. This book, I wrote this book in my Facebook status bar over, I wrote this book in like 3 months or 2 months or something. I sat at my computer and one day, I'm a vessel. I opened myself up and it just started coming. I would put one entry, number 1, number 2, number 3. And then I thought, and people will respond and I didn't know where it was coming from and I just was going. And then I thought, maybe I'm just being self-indulgent. Like maybe nobody's really paying, So I dialed it back. I just stopped doing it. And people were like, what happened next? Where's Willie Mae? What happened? You can't just stop there. So, and then I got to the point where it just wasn't coming through. It just wasn't flowing the way that it was. So then I stopped again. And then I received a message from a woman who is a Yemaya priestess. Yemaya is a Yoruba goddess. So she is like the mother goddess of everything. Who told me, she asked me, do you have a picture? Do you happen to have a picture of Willie Mae? And I happen to have one. She said, the next time you go to your computer to write, if you want this to come, if you want this connection to happen, you need to put her picture there, a glass of water, and a white candle. I did that, and I'm telling you, this was like, ooh, and it was like, ooh, and my fingers just started going. And that's how it came to be. That is how this book came alive. One of the things that I love about the book too is that, Willie Mae, my actual great grandmother, is the catalyst. And Virginia, the person who plays, Virginia is my grandmother. In the book, she's Willie Mae's mother, but in reality, she's the daughter of Willie Mae. So I definitely wanted to have more. Those are the only 2 people. Yeah, those are the only 2 people in my family that I have in the book. But all the women in my family are very proud of this.
Thank you.
Effort. Thank you. I hope I'm not being long-winded. I'm sorry if I am.
I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat. I loved hearing about your process just now. So I would own it if I were you.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna.
And in that vein, you have a series of, congratulations and well wishes in the chat. I just want to see if anyone wants to say them to you. Liza, do you want to say yours directly to Ifé?
Sure, Ifé. You know that this comes from my heart, and I appreciate being able to sit here with you and catch this in real time with you. But what I wrote was, thank you, Ifé, for this work. And this isn't a question, but I wanted to say these 2 lines struck. The good I versus the evil I was so heartbreaking, and I want more, so beautiful. So much love and power for you and your lineage. Thank you for your channeling this journey and the pictures you include as and for Willie Mae. So to go back in time with you, right? You bring us, you time travel with us.
That's right.
And to imagine that there was a good I seems optimistic, and it's a strength. But it's still heartbreaking. Because even if there were what we call allies now, even if there were allies then, there was still a lot of blindness to the evil.
Yes.
Using language like the good I is heartbreaking. So, it's always light candles and give out water immediately for the folks that brought us here. And, the I wants more is this freedom, I wants more was so wonderful to hear, like the joy, like the hope, like the empowerment. And the power structure of it all, the dynamic of it all. So I praise you and I praise Lady Willie Mae and all of your ancestors and everyone.
Ashe. Liza, I just want to thank you as a fellow writer and, someone that I've shared many spaces with. I really appreciate the things that you're saying. I really appreciate your insight. I really appreciate that you're making the connections between the past and the present, because the types of relationships that you're talking about still happen now with allies. You know, we're all trying to do our work and be better people, and the same things are still happening. Sometimes I feel like sometimes and especially right now, I feel like I'm living the life of my ancestors. The way that the election's going, the way that, you know, the murders, the way that there's just so much imbalance. And right now, all of it seems to be at a fever pitch. But it was always like that. Okay, it was always like that. It's just now, it's just in a different lens for folks. It's not in a different lens for people who have to live in marginalized spaces. It's not a different lens at all. It's just like Joseph McGill, who runs the Slave Dwellings Project. He says, you know, racism evolves. It doesn't go away. It just seems to just keep evolving. And one of the things I definitely wanted to do with my slave narrative was to put hope in my slave narrative. I will say this about the book. I wanted to write a slave narrative that had a happy ending. As I was saying to Ranger Anna, when people from the WPA project went and interviewed people who had been enslaved, they asked them all kinds of questions. But the one question that I have never heard, now I haven't heard all the tapes, I haven't read all of the slave narratives that they put together, but all the things that I have read, which is quite a few, no one ever asked them what made them happy. No one ever said, what makes you happy now? Do you have happiness? No, they just were like, tell me what it was like to be miserable, right? Okay, we need to know that history. But if they had asked any of them, what makes you happy? They would have said my freedom, hands down. They would have said my freedom, having my family, not having to see my people sold away from me. You know, like being able to, how about this? Being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it, which just sounds so normal. But chattel slavery was not a normal situation. So thank you, Liza. Thank you so much.
I think what I'm experiencing right now, listening to the conversation and your presentation too, is where history doesn't have the answers and where we can't see, you know, what the joys would have been for people who were enslaved. But you can almost feel like you're with Willie Mae when you're reading your book.
Oh, Ashe, thank you. Yes.
But that's something that art does, right? Like we may not have the answers in history, but we're humans and we know human experience.
And that's the thing with Ifé Franklin's Indigo Project. The book is my project is, this is how I describe my project. My project is the river, and then there's these tributaries, right? Like the book. Now the book now has been funded by NEFA, New England Foundation for the Arts, the Barr Foundation, and the Boston Foundation. It's going to be a experimental performance piece that will be Black Market. Nubian Square is my community partner, and you know, with COVID and everything, now I have to figure out like how to, you know, how are we going to do it? But we're going to do it, and it's going to be wonderful. I have a choreographer, I have a musical director. Like it's going to. I want people to experience Willie Mae. I want people to be in the cabin with her. I want people to have this experience, because when you connect on these levels, you change your heart, you change your mind. Like there's so much healing that has to happen for Black folks and white folks and brown folks and everybody. And as you said, Ranger Anna, like art can heal, art can shape. What I'm doing with this work, I couldn't do that. I couldn't touch people, work with people the way that I'm doing without the art, because I would just be so mad all the time. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have a place to put it. So here is a way for me and a place for me. I've been granted this wonderful opportunity by the ancestors, by incredible mentors. And so I'm just trying to move forward the best way that I can.
We're excited to see where your work brings you. We got a few more loving comments for you. I think one of them was a private message.
Oh.
It says, "Thank you so much. And the singing was a really nice touch." I want to echo that too. Your voice is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Mary has another thank you. I've read your book for some time. Wonderful to hear you read it. I encourage everyone to buy it so that you can read it again and again and find out what happens to Willie.
And find out what happens, because some really great stuff happens. Exciting.
When you were having your conversation about looking into your own past, Lynn commented, or your own heritage, Lynn commented, if you do the research on your ancestors and you find them, then their names will be said out loud again, but in a loving way, adding to that positive story.
I appreciate that. I need all the encouragement I can get, and thank you.
Beth, I'm just coming up on your comment now. So you have another comment from Beth. She said, Ifé, I found you singing during one of the stanzas to be incredibly powerful. Hearing joy in your voice while singing helped me see more of Willie Mae and her community in a fuller way.
Ashe, thank you. Thank you so much. Yay.
And then we just recently got a question from Jules. Jules, would you like to ask your question?
Hi, thank you so much. And you've already talked a little bit about this, but I was wondering if you could speak some more on what this process, your artistic process, how that has, what's the effect it's been on you emotionally and spiritually?
Oh, oh, you know, I've come to understand that I thought, you know, when you're making your project, you know, it's for other people, you know, I'm making this for the community. This project has changed me so much. And one of the ways that it's changing me now with the performance piece is that I'm working collaboratively. Usually I'm the CEO, I'm the boss, I'm the da-da-da. And now it's not that I'm, and this may sound, messy. It's not that I have to defer to other people, but I definitely have to work with other people. I have to listen to other people. I have to make space for them. And one of the biggest things that I had to learn was that these folks are coming on here because they want to elevate my work. There was a read through of the script, and and the script writer, Letta Neely, who's brilliant, who is the editor of the book. She put some incredible stuff in there, like incredible. And then everyone on the Zoom call was like, "Oh my God, Letta, you're so wonderful. Oh my God." I was like, "But I wrote that. Wait, it's my book." Okay. And I had to I said it to them because I'm not trying to hold on to it or anything like that. And, that's just real. I plan to grow so much in this process. I'm not sure how, but I know that I am. And I just want to stay open because it's going to open the work more. Because I can be, I can get real small and real scared and mine. And it's not, it needs to breathe. It needs different breath on it than mine. And then what will it be? It will be amazing. And then I was thinking, when people were on the plantation, when people were in chain gangs, when people did these kinds of things, my enslaved ancestors, they had to work as a collective. They had to. They had to because their lives depended on it. They had to get it done. And that's where these field songs come in and these field hollers, and this is where blues and jazz and all this stuff comes from, because you're out there working. You're working. And the only thing that can keep you from passing out or losing your mind is the camaraderie that you had out there, and a lot of times that voice. So I hope, again, sorry for long-winded answer, but I hope I answered the question. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ifé, people want to buy your book, so I'd like to cover again how to do that.
Okay, you could buy my book. Yay! You could buy my email address. I think it's in the chat. artist.franklin05@gmail.com.
And
I do have a website, but the book is not on the website because I don't have Ranger Anna to do all the things for me. But I have someone that's helping me who's really amazing, Julie Ryu, who is just such a gift to my life, I have to say, and a gift to this project. So that's how you can get the book. The book is $25. If I have to mail it to you, it's $35. I've never mailed it outside of the United States, but I can go to the post office and find out, what that would be like. So please just give me a holler, give me an email.
And do you mind just holding it up to the camera for a sec? People wanted to see it. It is also, if you saw the event listing on our website, it is the same image that we used. It's the slave narrative of Willie Mae.
Can you get it at the library? Oh my God, not yet, but hopefully soon. Wow, that's a great question. No, because this is what I said in the beginning. I'm an artist 110. I know how to make stuff. I'm learning how to market. So that's a whole other situation. But no, not yet. But I should go to the library and be like, here.
Give them a copy. Yeah.
I actually gave a copy of the book to the Eggleston Square Library, and I should go and just give them to all of the branches so that they can have it.
I think that's a great idea. So we've got a couple questions and a comment coming in.
Okay.
I'm going to make sure that I cover these three. I'm looking at the time right now.
Okay.
Pam had a question about what future artistic projects do you have in mind?
Well, the main one is the slave narrative of Willie Mae, the performance piece, which will be performed in June, actually the weekend of Juneteenth here in Boston. We're working on how we're going to have the performances. Hopefully we can have 2 social distance performances inside of Black Market with the doors open and ventilation and all that. And we're looking to maybe possibly have an outdoor, the last day be an outdoor performance. And we're going to think about, well, this isn't official, but I'm looking at the park near the Dillaway Thomas. There's like this, the Dillaway Thomas house has this greenery and really beautiful space. So that's the most future, the thing that's in the future. I applied for something, I don't know. I applied for the Radcliffe Fellowship. Yeah, thank you, Ranger Anna. Because they're in the Harvard Square graveyard, right there in the heart of Harvard Square. There are 2 women buried in the graveyard there, 2 women who were enslaved. One is named Jane and one is named Cicely. And prior to applying for the Radcliffe Fellowship, I had gone there to make ritual for them, to pay homage to them, to say thank you. There are so many graves of enslaved people in Boston. Like there's one in Dorchester, the North Dorchester Burial Ground. It's by the Strand Theater. I've done ritual in there with friends, and I've gone to visit Cicely and Jane many times. And I was talking to, I'm thinking like they must have had a higher ranking of some type for them to be buried there. So my proposal for Radcliffe is based on them and my relationship with them, and calling in people to have more of a relationship with them. So that's the most future, and I'm hoping that works out.
We'll be watching it closely to see if you learn anything more about those 2. All right, so we have Roberta would like to share a comment. Go ahead, Roberta.
Okay.
Yes, Ifé, I just love you. And really what I see is that we're all connected. And I think the struggle with sometimes with us as artists, whatever work we're doing, it's all been done before, but we now are that vessel that is presenting and bringing this to light now. I'm of a certain age, and I see that we're not going to keep repeating the history.
Okay.
And I've said this to you before, that what I hear the Willie Mays of our lives and your life, they're saying, you have to step that up and you have to push that out. And yes, we're in this COVID situation that we're in now, but this is also a very strong time for all of us to also reach and
Yes.
work and push through what's
Yes.
going on. We're not dormant. We're not made to just stay into this underground mode about things. We have a voice, and we're using it, and we're using it in all various formats. So it's not just about your work. It has
Mhm.
to be shared. You need a team because it takes that to make this voice be heard. Not
Ashe.
one voice because you'll be burnt out. I'm an moon person, so I know I'm an empath. So I know that
Yes.
wow, I can't. When there's too much going on, that conversation can have you up morning, noon, and night, and then I'm raggedy.
It's really true. It's really true. Sometimes they wear me out.
Exactly. You have
The
to know
ancestors, they're like,
an empath. What
yeah,
that is, there is a time that you say, okay, I've got this information, I need to digest this, and I'm going to do this work because they want us to do the work. They don't want us just to write or just to dance to it. They want to see that we are actually applying it to what is going on right now in this 21st century.
It's true.
The auction block is over.
Kaput.
Over. I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you. You're right. You're right. And I have to, you know, I have to find balance all the time. And right now I'm in a place of doing that on a whole other level. Like I can't even say it's a deeper level, but it is another level. And a lot of that is me slowing down to listen. A lot of it is me just dealing with the work in a different way. For me to work, they're calling me to work collaboratively because I need that energy. I don't need, the project needs it. I need it and the project needs it. They know I can't do it by myself. It was never intended. Ifé Franklin's Indigo Project was never intended to be a one-woman situation. It is a community project. Community helps to drive it. Community is how we stayed together. Community. We built community. When they sold off somebody's child, if there was a child that had no parent, community took that child. So my project is a child for the community. And it's going to grow in that way, you know, like it'll grow from like the embryo to the teenager to the, you know, and then hopefully somebody else will carry it on so that it'll just keep going and going and growing. I can see that. And I thank you so much for being here. Love you. Memorial Day. We've known each other for a very long time. And it's so sweet that there's so many people here that are my friends that showed up, and there's new friends. So I'm so very grateful.
I'm looking at the time, and I think I'm going to have to leave us with your message of community. This was a beautiful night. This was a chance to not feel like you're completely isolated in your home, and to know that we have historic roots and they're there to help us understand our day or what our world is today. So all of that came from your piece of art, that spark.
Yay.
Thank you, Ifé.
Thank you so much.
If you are interested in joining us, we have a few more evening lectures coming up on Thursdays. You can check them out on our fall lecture series website. Megan is putting the link in the chat. Thanks for all of you for bringing your energy, for participating, and for being part of the community.
Peace and love, everybody. Stay safe. Bye.